Welcome to the Pioneer Agronomy Update. I'm Don Wick on the go today. We're in the area just north of Moorhead, and field agronomist Kevin Sinner is with us. Boy, if you look at the past few days, we've been getting the heat units, but we certainly need some moisture coming our direction.
Yeah, the heat units have been coming pretty easy this year. The moisture not so much. A few people have had some moisture a couple weeks ago, but the majority of us are struggling pretty hard right now.
It seems like a quarter mile makes a lot of difference between a spotty rain and getting nothing absolutely at all. Are we seeing some impact on the crop?
For sure. If you drive anywhere yesterday, you could probably see some of that corn that's pineapple, and the leaves are puckered up pretty tight. And there's even some emergence issues still. A lot of stuff didn't even ever come up out of the ground this year because just sat there in dry powder.
What about weed control? Because certainly, at least some of those pre's, we need some moisture to activate that chemical.
Yeah, and in most cases, you're going to need at least a quarter to a half inch of rain to get that activated. In a lot of cases, we didn't get that. But so far, the weeds have been kind of kept at bay too by this dry spell we're in. So
it's usually it's hard to keep weeds at bay, but this hot, dry weather doing that. For corn, we're in a pretty critical time.
Yeah, so for the most part, we're at about V5 to V7. That V5 to V6 stage in corn is when the kernel's around and the kernel's long for the cob are kind of being determined. So this drought stress at this time is just a really inopportune time for this.
You get a bit of a potassium deficiency too?
Yeah, so that's the other thing that comes along with this drought is you can start seeing some of these nutrient deficiencies, and one of the first ones to spring up is potassium deficiency in both corn and soybeans. So
you can just, even with the wind we've got today, that just continues to suck moisture out of the ground. We're in an IDC plot. You've got a number of them up and down the valley. What are we trying to learn here?
So in this plot, we have every single row is a different variety. And what we're trying to learn is where our tolerance is. There's a few experimental varieties out here too. We're trying to learn, is our paper score telling us what we see in the field? And for the most part, what we're seeing this year, yeah, it is. Our variety right behind us, it scored a 7, and it looks like it's a 7 at least. So we're happy to see and verify what we see on paper is what we're seeing in the field.
Yeah, some of these, that one looks like a rock star.
Yeah, that's a new variety this year. It's called P08A44E, and so far this year it looks like it's just kind of shaking off the IDC.
So when we're dealing with IDC, which we know this is a big year for it, but it's a common scenario in the valley in particular, what other things can be done to it? Soy green obviously is one of the answers.
Yep. So a lot of guys that are in these areas where they know they have iron chlorosis every single year, they plan on putting on some product like soy green in furrow. Otherwise, the very first thing you can do is before you even put the planter in the ground, get your variety selection right. Be selecting varieties that are tolerant for IDC, and after that, then look at the soy green.
There's always questions, and you guys have a plot tour coming up next week Thursday in the Ada area.
Yeah, correct. So next Thursday morning, we have an IDC plot tour up there, and that is actually a 6-row plot up there, so 6 rows of every variety. So if you're available, feel free to come on up to that event. We'll have some donuts up there for you, and if you can make it, great. If you need directions, get a hold of your Pioneer rep and he'll let you know.
It's always good when you get together and you can exchange ideas. Give me an idea where we're sitting as far as the stage of development with these crops.
Yeah, so right here is one of the soybeans from this field. He was just sprayed here on Sunday, so he's got a little bit of injury on him, but we're at about V2 to V3 on these beans here, and we'll vary anywhere from V2 to probably all the way up to V4, V5 in some cases, depending on planting date. Corn, there we're looking anywhere from V5 to V7, maybe even V8 in some cases, again, depending on planting date. So we're humming right along. It's just we need some moisture to keep this thing going and keep things perked up.
That's the call for the day. Let's put that order in and get some rains coming our direction.
Yep, my fingers are crossed, and I'll start crossing my toes too if I need to. So
good deal. Well, again, don't forget that plot tour next week, Thursday, in the Ada area for IDC. Kevin Sinner is our guest, field agronomist with Pioneer. That is our Pioneer Agronomy Update.